People of Earth, we come in peace.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Good afternoon. It is 3:07 on a Friday afternoon right here on The Truth, 99.3 FM. And if you haven't noticed, I'm not J. Michael McCoy, but this is Mac's World Live. My name is Chris Roloff, and I am filling in as the host of what will probably be some chaotic 2 hours of radio. Because I've got in the studio with me right now Ryan, who is producing. We've got Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. And what do I mean by that? You go to webcast1live.com, and there's a chat window there where you can interact with us. Of course, if you go to the Truth Network Facebook page, you can interact with me directly as well, live on the show. We also have Frank the Verse, who is with us. And that doesn't sound weird, does it? That sounds about normal. But we have three other people in the room as well. Pastor Mike Damastis from First Church of the Something Other What Buddha. Was that close? That was my impression of Mac.
That was good.
Fort Des Moines Church of Christ on the south side of Des Moines.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that right?
That was the second. The latter was, yes.
Not the Hubdy one?
Yeah. I think you said Buddha at the end of yours.
Hubdy. Buddha. And we also have from caffeinatedthoughts.com, we have the Caffeinated Thoughts radio crew minus their producer. We have Brian Myers on the cool mobile mic, which is neat. We added a mobile mic. And then we also have Shane Vanderhart as well. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Well,
All right, my phone is, people are texting me. The people that are texting me are not listening to 99.3 and don't realize I'm talking on the radio. So guys, we have an incredible 2 hours of radio planned. Like that I said planned. I showed Shane Vanderhart my notes. I've got three things.
I was very
notes.
impressed with your show prep.
I got three things. No,
yeah.
we're gonna have a good show. I've got news. I'm gonna keep up with that. We're gonna read a couple of interesting news pieces here to get things started off. Second hour. That's next hour, in the 4 o'clock hour, for those of you that want to stick with us that long. We will have Steve Rhodes, who's the vice president of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, on with us. We're going to be talking about the Decision America Tour coming to Des Moines, January 5th. And the way the weather's going, it's probably going to be a beautiful day on January 5th. Nice.
That'd be great.
It's going to be lovely, and we're going to meet at the Capitol grounds right in front of the state capitol and pray with Franklin Graham. So we'll be talking about that next hour. We're also going to be talking about Ted Cruz later on, and why me, as an evangelical, I'm starting to feel ganged up on Ted Cruz is the only guy I'm allowed to vote for here because, as we will talk about again later, Dr. James Dobson has come out now in endorsing Ted Cruz. So it's getting a little thick in the evangelical world for people coming out with Ted Cruz, and I'm starting to feel like I have to vote for him. And I will tell you right now, we'll talk about this again later, I'm a bit of a rebel.
No.
And I don't like being told what to do, so I don't know if it's working. It might be backfiring on them. But we've got lots of fun stuff to talk about. But before we get any further, there is one man in this room who's seen the Star Wars movie. Pastor Damastis.
Yeah, sure.
Was it good?
No joke. I know that sometimes people have a tendency to oversell things, but the movie not only hearkened me back to 1977 in May of seeing it when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
But it truly is my favorite Star Wars movie now of all of them. And you go. Those of us that know the Star Wars realm, episodes 1, 2, and 3 were kind of a bust. 3 got kind of back to a little bit betterness, but episodes 4, 5, and 6, which were the originals, of those 3, I really thought Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, is the pinnacle. It was the best of the best. And I think that this movie was either there or better. And it was just fantastic. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much.
Wow, that is a glowing endorsement right there. Is what that is. So I guess I have to go see it now. I want see last night when you were. Did you watch it? You watched it last night. You were in the theaters with a bunch of fans. Very excited, I'm sure.
It was quite the experience, actually.
Were there a lot of folks in full garb dressed up?
Yes, there were.
Dressed up?
No.
You were not.
I will say I was wearing a Chewbacca hoodie, but that's about as dressed
That's
up
close.
as I got. Yeah.
I was going to say he was good dressed up as Chewbacca, but
He was. So that's cool. Did they cheer?
It was crazy because at one point everybody thought the movie was getting ready to start, so everybody started applauding, and then another ad showed up, and so it was like the whole theater was like, "Oh!" And then when it started, it was just raucous applause, and with the famous intro of Star Wars, and everybody was still applauding, and it was just wow, know. And there were scenes in the movie where people were yelling, and they were just excited and applauding and laughing, and it was fun to experience it with all the Star Wars geeks because everybody was so into it, and it's just like one body.
Was the movie a little bit more computer generated effects, or was it more like the originals in 77?
They used hand puppets, Frank.
Well, no, I mean the newer ones. They just had so much going on. Your eyes and your brains can't focus on it all.
My guess would be that there's probably quite a bit more CGI in this than probably even ever before. But I noticed it way more in episodes 1, 2, and 3. But I didn't notice it in this one, if that makes sense to you. So if they did it, which I think they did it really well. So it doesn't look so much like it's all CGI.
So does that make you guys want to see it?
oh yeah. Well, I was already planning on seeing it.
Bob, were you going to see it?
No.
Has Pastor Damascus's endorsement, his love of it, make you want to see it more?
Really, and I figure within a year I'll probably see it.
You're going to wait for it. Pastor Michael, your description of what was going on, what was going through my head is Shane and Brian, y'all's producer for Caffeinated Thoughts Radio, Ron Carlson, would have hated that experience. He said that that's the thing he loves. He likes Star Wars. He loves going to see movies, but he just couldn't fathom being in the audience with a bunch of people making noise. He likes to just immerse himself and be kind of lost in the thing. You know what I mean? And you feel like you're in a crowd when you hear the crowd, right? So it's a little different. You're not floating through space alongside.
Sure, but
Darth Maul
for me it was fun, And here's the cool thing. I mean, this will tell you a little bit more. My wife. We're celebrating our anniversary this weekend, and so Sunday afternoon, she said, can we go see it again? Could we go see it again? And so my wife never says that.
Wow.
And so she wants to go see it again just to get more, watch it a little bit more.
Do you suppose they'll ever have a Star Wars 3D?
It is 3D.
Oh, is it?
This movie was made for 3D. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Honestly, I did not know that.
It was filmed.
Am I the only person on the planet that didn't know that?
Filmed in IMAX and 3D.
Do you have to wear the glasses, or is we beyond the glasses technology?
We're not beyond the glasses technology.
No, what they do, Frank, see, is when you're walking into the theater, they take this gun and they shoot these chips into your mind so that you can now
Getting beyond
see
the glasses,
in 3D.
the only thing I can see was that you would be sitting there as they're acting it out in front of you,
Right. Yeah. I don't know I'm not sure if they figured out. That would be, holograms, right? You don't need glasses to see a hologram, so they could do that, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that 3D-ish?
Yeah, this is a really weird conversation.
Hey, this is Max World.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, wait a minute.
We never talk about things like this on Caffeinated
On
Thoughts
Caffeinated
Radio.
Thoughts, you guys are very serious and stay very, very focused. Look,
Always.
Let me read a piece of chat here. Let me interrupt you. Let me tell you what they say on chat here. Hank the Bible Answer Man has a huge problem with Star Wars and the teaching of Star Wars, and their website warns people not to watch it.
Wait,
good for Hank.
In 2015, this isn't a CRI article from the 1970s. This is 2015.
I'm just reading what I see on chat. No.
Well, so I guess Hank's not going to be seeing it. So,
Well, you know what? When my family went down to Universal Studios in October just to get fully into the fire on this, we enjoyed every part of the Harry Potter theme park that we could because we've seen all of those movies too, and we like all that stuff. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to the news here. We got a few more minutes left. See how I try to do all like the banging the papers and stuff. Let's go do a couple of news headlines here. This was reported in Oskaloosa, Iowa. A hunter finds body in wooded area near Oskaloosa. I don't know how to say this county because I'm a new Iowan.
Mahaska County.
That wasn't even close. Mahaska County official Masaka. What did I skip? Did I skip the H?
Yeah, you skipped something.
You thought you had problems.
I know.
So in the county that Oskaloosa's in, how about that? The county officials say a hunter reported finding a body in a wooded area Wednesday. That's what WHO TV reported. The county sheriff's officer said the caller reported finding the body around 3:30 p.m. while deer hunting in a small wooded area north of Oskaloosa. The body was transported to the Iowa Medical Examiner's office in Des Moines to be identified.
It's actually in Ankeny, but...
Oh,
did they say the state?
It says Des Moines.
Did it say State Medical Examiner?
Iowa Medical Examiner's office in Des Moines to be identified.
Yeah.
So this is like a faulty report that I'm reading.
That's it. Get rid of it. Inaccurate. Get rid of it.
Well,
throw it out.
It's WHO though.
Yeah, well,
TV.
It's what you can't trust anything you hear on TV.
Chris, you got to
Yes.
take that thing and throw it in the air.
Oh yeah, hold on, wait.
There you go.
There's something interesting there that you mentioned, hunters. Hunters always get the bad reputation for killing Bambi, but it's the mushroom hunters and the deer hunters and pheasant hunters. It's always discovering these bodies that no one else seems to find.
They serve a purpose.
They serve a purpose.
Well, it is news and commentary. It is news and commentary here on the Truth 99.3 FM. I'm Chris Roloff, sitting in for J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World Live. We got a big cast of characters in the studio. We've got more local news to read when we come back and talk about why I don't have to vote for Ted Cruz if I don't want to, and you can't make me.
Sure?
Do I have to? I'm starting to feel like they're going to make me. When we come back, somebody shot themselves in the hand. And we're going to talk about that when we get back right here on The Truth 99.3 FM.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Welcome back. It is 3:21 on a Friday afternoon. That's Nathan Thomas of Berean Assembly of God playing the music in the background. And he is, these CDs are available from his website, or can you go to the church website and get them? I don't know. Nathan Thomas. These are instrumental Christmas songs. He's a fantastic piano player.
Some vocals,
right. I'm Chris Roloff, filling in for J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World live on 99.3 FM. We've got a big cast of characters still in the studio. After that first segment, they did not leave. We've got Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat. Frank DeVers Thomas is here. Ryan is producing. Pastor Michael Damastis of Fort Des Moines Church of Christ on the south side. Shane Vanderhart and Brian Myers of CaffeinatedThoughts.com are here with us as well. And I tell you what, if we don't get to something heavy and serious, these boys are all going to leave me because these are big minds, and I like to have fun. Last time I filled in for Mac, we spent way too much time talking about the McRib, and I got in trouble for that. So I'm not going to talk about any chomp. I'm not going to talk about any of that, but we're going to go ahead and finish going through some news, and then we're going to get to the big topic, which is that I'm feeling bullied by the evangelical movement to get behind Ted Cruz. And maybe they're right, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I got to have a discussion about this. Pshaw. So we're going to read a couple of bit more news. This is from Burlington, Iowa. Iowa sheriff shoots hand while cleaning gun. Officials say surgery is expected for a southern eastern Iowa sheriff who accidentally shot himself in the left hand while cleaning a gun.
Please tell me he's Democrat.
I don't know. I don't know. Do you think this is going to get spun a certain way?
I'm sure.
Yes. The news release from the Des Moines County Sheriff's Office says that Sheriff Mike Johnstone was cleaning his personal owned handgun at his home when it fired at 11:30 p.m. on Wednesday. He's looking it up. Shane Vanderhart right now is Googling Sheriff Mike Johnstone, spelled just like it sounds. Johnstone was taken to the Great River Medical Center emergency room for treatment. His injury is not considered to be life-threatening. The department's release says the hospital has made arrangements to have Johnstone transferred to another medical facility where he could be treated by a surgeon who specializes in hand injuries.
I can almost guarantee he's a Democrat because they didn't mention the party in the story.
Do you think because they didn't?
Right. If you were a Republican, I guarantee you it probably
yes.
There'd be an R next to his name.
But they didn't answer the most pressing question. Was he wearing a helmet?
Well, I hope so. Was he being safe, is what you're saying?
Well, and I'm curious, too. He shoots himself in the hand, and they had to tell us that it was not a life-threatening injury.
Right, yes. Because you know those guns.
Oh, yes.
Those guns. Here's a piece of news that I think is actually kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. I want to know more. This should just whet your appetite. But iWireless launches LTE network in Iowa. A central Iowa-based cell carrier has started offering a faster wireless broadband service in Iowa. Urbandale-based iWireless, a joint venture of T-Mobile and Iowa Network Services, said this week it has launched the first phase of its 4G LTE network. The service is currently available in a few parts of the state. So better coverage for all those iWireless users, I expect.
Can you say it 3 times fast?
According to, just back to the last story,
yes.
Free Republic has confirmed that, yes, he is a Democrat.
Is that right?
But anytime a story doesn't mention it's negative and they don't mention the party, you can almost guarantee he's Democrat.
Well, you had a 50-50 chance of being right there, Vanderhart.
Yeah, Shane Vanderhart always got the nose for the truth. Digging deep.
I am.
Will you have a breaking story on caffeinatedthoughts.com? Will you do a write-up on how unfair and unjust this is?
It's not serious enough.
It's not
just
serious.
underscores why we need to control guns.
He may do.
We do.
At least he needs to control his anyway.
He does need to get.
Who doesn't make sure it's unloaded before you clean it?
We may.
Wait a minute.
Details.
In all seriousness, though,
Details.
that seems pretty simple. I hate to. That's a small thing, but I wouldn't clean a loaded gun. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
No, it's
I don't
not.
own a gun, but if I did,
We may need to do a live remote.
we need to be on the scene for
On the
this one.
scene.
On the scene for this. Speaking of caffeinatedthoughts.com, the news story is going around. You've probably seen this on Facebook now. It is on Facebook. It's on the Truth Network's Facebook page right now. So I'm not going to read all the details of this, but you can go to the Truth Network Facebook page and click on the link about this story. But it is being reported there was a study done that moderate coffee drinking may be tied to lower risk of death. So if you don't want to die, drink coffee. As a Caffeinated Thoughts guy,
I wholeheartedly approve that study.
No problems here. The report says that the article said people who drink coffee daily, even up to 4 cups per day, are less likely to die from heart disease, neurological disease, type 2 diabetes, or suicide.
No mystery here.
Or suicide.
We knew that.
And others, according to the new
When
study.
you're sleep deprived, you don't think clearly.
Wait, but coffee would keep you up. And then you wouldn't be thinking clearly and you might consider suicide.
Because of the caffeine.
This is backfiring on you. But this is anyway, researchers did not test how upping coffee consumption would change health outlooks. So they're not saying drink more, but if you're drinking coffee, continue drinking the amount you're drinking.
That's
Don't
it.
stop.
That study has no credibility.
You may not die, but watch out for them splitting headaches.
Oh, well, if you don't, right?
Well, the thing is, you have to consider scientifically speaking, since I'm a scientist.
Yes, as the scientist in the room, sir.
That this could change on a moment's notice.
Oh, sure, but we've got to report on it while it's in favor of coffee drinking.
Okay. But just don't be disappointed next week when they have a negative one.
But
we are not going to. Yeah, we are not going to report it next week.
But according to Bob's Liars for Hire, depends on who was hired to do the study.
That's right.
Exactly.
Now, I just want you to know that because they have not tested how upping your coffee consumption would change health outlooks, so they cannot conclude that coffee causes a decreased risk of health. It just so happens that they looked at death trends in groups with varying amounts of coffee consumption. So drinking coffee won't prevent death, but those who drink coffee don't die or die less. Wait a minute. We all die. What is this?
And it does.
Yeah, but some of us get better.
Report.
Now
some
listen,
of us get better.
Some of us get better.
It does decrease libido.
It does. What?
That's it. Next story.
You're listening to the Truth Network on 99.3 FM. That was Frank DeVerse. The comments expressed by Frank are his own. I'm Chris Roloff. Pastor Michael Damastis is here. Can you attest to this? Is it true? Does coffee consumption reduce the libido, Pastor Michael?
Oh dear.
Wait, we're not going to go that way. In other news, is that is not a topic for. All right, here's just interesting. I just love this, and we're going to get a little bit more into the conspiracy type stuff with this news report here. This is fantastic. By the way, it's always your voice. We want to hear if you saw the Star Wars movie. I want to hear if you liked it, but no spoilers, okay? The call-in number to this show anytime, interrupt me anytime you want, is 515-244-0077. It's your voice we want to hear at 515-244-0077. That is the line. But here, look, Forbes had something to say. They have told us that this is a little story they did on the richest women in the world in 2015, and they've got a whole list of names. But this is interesting. It was yet another record year for women on the new Forbes list of the world's billionaires. Of a total of 1,826 billionaires in the world, 197 of them are women, up from 172 in 2014. The report says that's a nice gain, but women still account for just a small percentage of the list at 11% of the total. And that last line kind of reminds me a little bit of whether or not the sheriff was a Democrat or a Republican. Is it necessary that we say only 11%? Is it? I mean, are we saying like women can't be? That's impressive. 197 women. Why is that? They're kind of shirking it off like that's not enough. We need more female billionaires in the world. That's what's wrong with America. That's what's wrong with the world today is we need more female billionaires.
I'm thinking in most cases how long it takes. I mean, what's the average age of a billionaire?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably, I would assume older.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know a lot of teenagers.
Older generation, a little more old-fashioned, perhaps. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
So it went up, though. It went up.
It has
from
gone
last
up.
year.
But I would suspect one of the probably primary reasons why that is because back when most of these folks, if they're older, were starting to make their money, it was the husband that went to work.
Have you heard who the top billionaires is?
Who is the top?
Well, did it list them? According to what I read,
it did, but I didn't write it
According
down.
to what I read on Facebook the other day, the heiress of the Walton fortune was like 51 billion, something like that.
That's a lot of money.
That's just pocket change.
Pocket change. But you know who's a guy who doesn't just have pocket change? Dr. James Dobson. I'm a big fan. Evangelical Christians know who Dr. James Dobson is. He's been the father to the fatherless. I don't know. He's a good guy. He's helped a lot of parents raise
focus on the family,
good men and women. Yes, focus on the family. I own a copy of Dare to Disciple by Dr. James Dobson. He's on this station every day at 10 o'clock at 9.
You mean Dare to Discipline?
I'm sorry. What did I say?
Disciple.
Dare to Disciple. Right. That would be a different book.
Yes, it would.
Yes, although it shouldn't be when you think about it.
Well, probably.
Discipline and disciple. I mean, we're trying to raise up, right?
Right.
Godly men and women. So it's related. But anyway, Dr. James Dobson came out. Was this morning? Was that today or was that yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday that he came out and endorsed Ted Cruz. And this is what I want to kind of transition here and talk about. So if you are supporting Ted Cruz, I want to hear from you at 515-244-0077 if you're a Ted Cruz supporter. If you're an evangelical Christian and you are not a Ted Cruz supporter, I want to hear from you most of all. You call in at 515-244-0077, and I want to know who you're backing. Because
there you go, Huckabee guys. Come on, call in.
Right, there you go. I mean, that's...
Now's your chance.
In all seriousness, Pastor Michael, that's, this... I'm probably... Aside from our producer, I'm the youngest guy in the room, so let's just get that cleared up. But here's the thing. This has been a fascinating list of people running for president on the Republican, trying to be the Republican nominee for president right now. We have a lot of good Bible-believing Christians, I would say.
Correct.
That are running.
Correct.
And so, it's surprising me here that we've got a lot of people coming out, and you were one of them, Pastor Michael.
I came out very early, actually.
You came out very early.
He came out of the closet.
He did. He stepped out of the closet. And you have publicly endorsed as a pastor, as a thought leader here in Central Iowa, thinker of thoughts and swayer of minds, supporting Ted Cruz. And I don't fault you for that. I'm not mad at you, but that was cool. I thought that gave me pause as an evangelical Christian. I thought Pastor Michael Damastis is doing it. One of our broadcasters, Steve Dace, early on came out and endorsed Ted Cruz. Dr. Michael Brown, a guy I respect very much, who lives in the state of North Carolina, comes out and endorses publicly Ted Cruz. He's another one of our broadcasters. There's been many other people. The BVP, Bob Vanderplatz, comes out and personally, and Chuck Hurley both come out, personally endorse Ted Cruz.
There was a number of folks through the Family Research Council as well, where they had garnered together a group of about 50 leaders from across the state and the evangelical circle to see if they could coalesce, and they did, and they've come out for Ted Cruz as well.
Right, and now we've got Dr. James Dobson himself coming out and endorsing Ted Cruz, and this is early on, y'all. As a guy who, we haven't even gotten to the Iowa caucus yet, and there's this much energy put behind this one candidate, and I feel as an evangelical, the pressure, I have to back this guy. This is too much of a force.
Well, look, it's not early if you're talking about Iowa. It's not early
if you're talking about Iowa.
And I think the thought process, Shane, tell me if you think I'm smoking
Brian
my
Myers
socks
of
again.
caffeinatedthoughts.com, by the way.
But it strikes me that people think that we got to have Iowa. If we're going to coalesce behind a particular candidate and knock off the Donald, then we have to coalesce behind somebody that can take him out.
Right.
So in terms of it's early on in terms of the entirety of the process. It's not early on if you're talking about winning Iowa.
If you look at polling right now, Iowa's probably has the best shot at knocking Donald Trump off And then hopefully it'll go from there too.
Well, I want to hear from you. 515-244-0077. That's the number. Are you standing with Ted Cruz? I want to know, as an evangelical Christian, who are we getting behind on The Truth 99.3 FM?
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Good afternoon. It is 3:38. Past the half an hour. We're rounding up to the 4 o'clock hour where many of our listeners are packing up to go home for the weekend. Maybe many of them are already gone for the holidays. I don't know. Do people leave this early for holidays? Some people do holiday stuff this weekend. I'm Chris Roloff, sitting in for J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World Live on the Truth Network, 99.3 FM, where we are live right here in Des Moines every afternoon from 3 to 5. We are talking about, with a big room filled with smart people, about Ted Cruz. But not really. It's really not about. I guess we can talk about Ted. What I more want to talk about is the fact that I'm a rebel. In my heart, I'm a rebellious person. And right now, as an evangelical Christian, I feel like I'm being guided, pushed, directed to cast my caucus.
Intimidated?
Being intimidated. Intimidated, Frank, to stand behind one Senator Ted Cruz, because it seems like increasingly we've got more and more evangelicals coming out. And maybe it was just this, because Steve Deace coming out for Ted Cruz, no big deal. I mean, I'm excited. It made me think about it. Pastor Michael, you came out for Ted Cruz. It made me think about it. You know, we're getting more and more. And the one yesterday was Dr. James Dobson. And I just think this is just a lot of backing behind Ted Cruz. And so I want to hear from evangelicals.
Well, let me jump in.
Do I have to back Ted Cruz to be an evangelical?
I want to say this, and full disclaimer, like you said, I am 100% behind Ted Cruz, have been for quite some time. But what I remember in 2012 and 2008 was there was this strong push. Let's coalesce. Let's get behind a candidate so we can stop, Mitt Romney being the guy, or so we can stop John McCain, from being the guy. And so they wanted to try to coalesce early on, as a matter of fact. And so there was pushes all over the country, in particular in our state as well. I remember going to some private meetings with the family leader, and other evangelical leaders were in that room where they were wanting to get us to try to get behind a particular candidate at that time. It never was able to just garner together behind a particular one. It was still kind of divided. And now it's happening. This is what we've wanted to do for the past 2 election cycles, and now it's actually occurring. And you get some kickback from people that are not so much from you, and the whole rebel thing. You got to deal with that in God and the Holy Spirit. But the kickback thing that I see is from candidates that are the supporters of other candidates who really are angered by this whole thing. When if it was their candidate they were being coalesced behind, they would be the ones trumpeting how important this is and how groundbreaking this is and how great this is. But yet, all you hear is vitriol, really, and anger, and just it's frustrating, frankly, to me.
Well, Ted Cruz is on my list of probably 4 candidates that I would support, but I found out something about him at the debate that I didn't know. It's an older story, so I won't come off like it's a new story. But his wife is an employee of Goldman Sachs. Now, Goldman Sachs is the same corrupt pool of people that both Democrats and Republicans choose our financial leaders from. Tim Geithner, classic example. So I have a little bit of pause about him. I'm not saying it disqualifies him from me voting for him. I will likely vote for him if he's the candidate. But can Ted Cruz or anybody in this room assure me that if he's the president, he's not going to go off I heard he slapped Goldman Sachs, kind of give him a backhand slap publicly, but can anybody assure me that we're not going to get more Goldman Sachs execs running our financial house? Because basically, they've put us $18 trillion in debt.
Now, Frank, just to be clear, you said that I guess it was on the broadcast earlier this week, and we got some listener mail that said, "Hey, man, hush it up. That ain't true anyway."
And plus, there was a report that Goldman Sachs is encouraging its employees to take a hiatus from Goldman Sachs and enter the public government sphere. So it's a concern to me. I'm not saying that it's going to cause me to not vote for him, because like I said, he's one of the top 3 or 4 people I would likely vote for. But it does give me concern. Can anybody?
Well, the only thing I would say in response to that is look at what Ted Cruz has done. Don't just look at the fact that his wife was employed by a company that you don't like, because frankly, we all could find family members of probably every candidate. By the way, the number 1 candidate in the nation right now in the Republican field, the guy was owning, businesses that were rated, for sex slave trade, the whole 9 yards. I mean, the guy. That kind of stuff is very concerning. But aside from all of that, we could kind of go on a witch hunt on this. As a guy who has spent time personally with Heidi Cruz, she's not some part of some big, banking conspiracy to take over America and change it to the dark side. I just think that's a silly notion, frankly. And
I wouldn't say that, but.
And we're not hiring her, by the way.
That's right. But we didn't hire Hillary when Bill got in office either. But she was put in charge of our health care debacle that almost got shoved down our throat. So I would just say it's a concern. It's not an overwhelming.
If it is your concern, check out his record. What has he done?
Well, he promised that he's not going to go off naming a bunch of Goldman Sachs execs for our Fed Reserve chairman, for whoever it is, because Bush nominated him, Obama nominated him, and you look where it's gotten us. So maybe that's the only pool of people to nominate from, but it's a corrupt cesspool of people to nominate from.
That's Frank DeVers Thomas. You're listening to The Truth, 99.3 FM. I'm Chris Roloff, sitting in for J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World Live. We got a whole bunch of people in the room with us today, and I'm mostly glad that you are here. It's your voice we want to hear. 515 815-244-0077. What we're talking about right now is if evangelicals should just go ahead and get behind Ted Cruz. I mean, is this a foregone conclusion at this point? And I guess obviously I'm speaking to those of us who live here in the great state of Iowa. We don't know what the future holds, but right now, do evangelicals need to coalesce behind Ted Cruz? I don't know, but I'm feeling the pressure like I have to. Brian Myers here of CaffeinatedThoughts.com. What do you say, man?
Well, Chris, look, I just, if we can set Cruz aside for just a second, I just want to, I guess, promote the idea that I understand the motivation to want to have evangelicals and conservatives coalesce around somebody.
Yeah,
you can't fault the voters for wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not at the end of the day, Cruz was the right person for that particular situation is a separate question. But the idea that we want to coalesce behind a candidate, particularly now when a lot of us aren't very happy with who's leading the polls, it's extremely important. We want to try to get that done prior to the Iowa caucuses. So, I mean, that part's understandable.
Yeah, Shane?
Yeah, well, I know early on, obviously, I endorsed another candidate. I gave my kiss of death endorsement to Bobby Jindal, and he was out 10 days later. I just want to say right now, I'm going to endorse Donald Trump and hope that maybe he'll get out in 10 days. That would be awesome. Merry Christmas.
There you go.
So no, just seriously, I know early on it was a little annoying to me when I have to be. Ted Cruz was on my short list.
Sure.
And he's still somebody I'm considering because I may endorse another candidate still. But I was thinking of my at least the summer, I was thinking there are candidates I felt, not that I thought Ted Cruz was bad, but I thought there were others that were better qualified. So that was a question I had. But now that we're closer to the caucus, I think you can make an argument because as much as I like Rick Santorum, I supported him in 2012. As much as I like Governor Huckabee, I supported him in 2008. If you're still polling in single digits, and actually in some cases Santorum's gone backwards in a couple of more recent polls, they're just unless the polling models are just like completely crazily off, we're not going to see a rise like we did in 2012.
Well, and here's the thing, though. I mean, is it when you mention names like Mike Huckabee and Rick Santorum? These are names that we've heard before. We heard these names 4 years ago, and I think that's a bit of an issue. Because they didn't get it then, and I don't know. For me, it makes me doubt whether or not whether or not they're going to make it for the next time around. We've got a big cast of characters. Shane Vanderhart's here. Brian Myers with CaffeinatedThoughts.com. Pastor Michael Damastis is also our guest from Fort Des Moines Church of Christ. Man, I can't believe it. I guffawed right there. But you are listening to The Truth on 99.3 FM. We're going to keep this conversation going because do we really need, as evangelicals, to coalesce now behind a candidate? That's the question.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on Webcast1Live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1.
All right, guys. Good afternoon, 10 minutes before the top of the hour in Salem Radio Network News. I'm Chris Roloff filling in for J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World Live on the Truth Network, 99.3 FM, and I want to invite you to join Franklin Graham for the Decision America Tour at the State Capitol Building right here in Des Moines on Tuesday, January 5th. The rally starts at noon on Tuesday, January 5th. It will be outside. All the details are available at decisionamericatour.com. And next hour, we have the great privilege of interviewing Steve Rhodes, who is the vice president of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. We're going to be talking about the Decision America Tour and what it's all about and why we're doing it. And I'm just going to say now, we're going to talk about this more next hour, but there's a lot going on in the country right now. And never before have I've been a Christian a long time. And we always say we need to pray for the country. We need to pray for our president. We need to pray for our leaders. I'm going to be honest here. I really feel like this is a time we need to be praying for our country. There are a lot of very difficult things that we need to figure out as people, the way that we talk, the way that we interact with our neighbors right now. Shane and Brian, we were having lunch today earlier. We talked about some of these things, and there's just a lot going on, and we want to be Christ-like in everything that we do. And if there's sin in our own hearts, we want to begin there by confessing our sins, repenting, turning to the Lord, seeking his face that we might be faithful representatives of Christ in this country. And the reason why we care about that stuff, because here at 99.3 is a Christian talk radio station. So we're going to talk about Jesus, and we're going to say inflammatory things like Jesus is the only way to heaven. No one gets to the Father, the creator of the universe, but through Jesus. There's no other way to heaven, none at all. Jesus is the only way to have a relationship with your creator. We can say that on 99.3. Other radio stations, maybe they don't want to say that so much, but we're going to say that here. And we were talking before the break with a bunch of very smart men. We have a few minutes left before the news, guys. So Brian Myers is here, Shane Vanderhart, Pastor Michael Damastis, of course, Frank and Bob and Ryan is producing, and I'm Chris Roloff. And we're Christians, and we want to have the best representatives in our leading our country. We want to have smart men that care about America, that want to protect their citizens, that want to embody the love your neighbor, that want to bring justice in our country. There are a lot of evangelicals who say that doesn't even need to be a Christian. It just needs to be someone who cares about America. And right now there's a push to get evangelicals, well, every time there's an election, right? Evangelicals are herded in like a bunch of cats into a barn, and they try to tell us what to do. We got to believe this thing. And Brian, it sounded like what you were saying a little bit ago, Brian, is that's a good thing, though. As evangelicals, we need to be together on this. Do we need to be a united voting group?
Well, if we want to be successful, I think we're going to have to.
Okay.
If the goal is to put a particular type of candidate on the top of the ticket, yeah, it's going to take that kind of momentum.
So then but that sentiment, though, is why I personally am feeling the pressure to back Ted Cruz, because that seems to be the guy that, as Pastor Michael, you pointed out earlier, that we're seeing this happen for the first time.
Correct.
We're early in the primary. Iowa hasn't even done the caucus yet. We've got all these evangelical leaders.
Well, when we had as the nominee Mitt Romney, when we had as the nominee John McCain, in the past two successive elections, millions upon millions of evangelical Christians either did not vote or disengaged some way in the process. And so what we had was the continuance of more of the same. And so if we are concerned about the really the trifecta of big issues for people like us: life, religious liberty, marriage, then we need to vote biblical values. And so the way that gets done is that the evangelical Christian needs to be engaged in the process. The more evangelical Christians that get engaged in this process, the better chance we're going to have is having a candidate that's going to represent those values.
But Pastor Michael, you know good and well, we joked about this in the hall. Christians, evangelical Protestants are notorious for not getting along. We're notorious for not all thinking.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, how dare you disagree with me?
Yeah, jerk.
Yeah, you know.
Well,
Chris,
the problem
that's a difficult challenge. I mean, it's a difficult proposition to get all of us.
Let me say,
is one thing. Go
let
ahead,
me say
Frank,
something here real quick. I grew up in a denomination that Ben Carson is a member of. I'm not 100% behind Ben Carson.
Sure.
Even though he grew up in the same denomination. Now, let me say, in our denomination, I never heard a sermon in all the years that I've went. I'm a 58-year-old man. I've been around the church all my life. I've never heard a sermon from any preacher on a pulpit of ours that ever endorsed a candidate or even encouraged us to vote as citizens of the United States. So I'm simply saying...
Come to church on Sunday at my place and you'll hear that.
Well, I know that. I know that. But what I'm saying is... That's what kind of gives me a little pause about Ben Carson, because we grew up in that. So I'm simply suggesting that I don't want any kind of groupthink. I want people to vote their conscience. And I tend to think a little bit with Chris. I don't want to be bullied. I don't want to be intimidated. I'm likely to vote for Ted Cruz, but if he's the nominee, but I don't want to feel like I'm bullied or intimidated into voting for somebody, because we should really vote our conscience.
But Shane, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say one of the reasons.
1 minute.
Basically, evangelicals don't have a unifying leader. That's one of the reasons why we have a divergence of opinion when it comes to this. And a variety of different litmus tests as far as who's a qualified candidate. I had evangelical brothers and sisters that wouldn't vote for Rick Santorum because he was Catholic.
Right.
That wasn't a problem for me, but it was a problem for some other people I knew.
Well, and now you speak about one united voice, and I think about that in the Christian community, right? Our Catholic friends have the Pope, but he's not going to say, he's not going to weigh in on
and
this.
when I hear talk coalescing. Okay, who decides who we're going to coalesce around, and do I respect those people?
Well, and that's the thing, though. I mean, here we have a wide variety of, I don't know if it's a wide variety. We got a handful of people coming around. They're starting to coalesce. I think this is Pastor Michael Damascus' point here. They're starting to coalesce. Mm-hmm. We've got evangelical Christians that are coming behind a candidate. So I don't know. It's something to think about. There are a lot of great guys running. Marco Rubio's running. He's a good guy. I'm really sad that we lost Bobby Jindal. I was excited about Bobby Jindal. I thought he was great. There's a lot of evangelicals that are standing behind Trump right now. There's a lot of evangelicals that are standing behind Mike Huckabee and Rick Santorum. There are evangelicals, I believe, that are standing behind Ben Carson. I mean, we're spread out all over the place on this issue, and I don't know. But as an Iowan, we've got a responsibility to figure this stuff out, and we've got to figure this stuff out pretty soon. So I would definitely pray, and I would definitely figure out who your candidate is and start to take that stuff very seriously. Next hour, we have Steve Rhodes, who is the vice president of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, who's going to talk with us about the Decision America Tour coming to Des Moines on January 5th. That's a Tuesday. And also, we're going to talk about Michael Moore and his very wise sarcasm, very astute sarcasm, very well thought out comment in his letter that he wrote to Donald Trump, saying that, in fact, we are all Muslim. We're going to talk about that when we get back. This is the Truth Network, 99.3 FM. Stay with us. The Salem Radio Network news is coming up at the top of the hour, and we'll be back with more to chat with you. The number to call to weigh in on any of these topics is 515-244-0077.